Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome yourself. Welcome to You've Championed Yourself. Who are you? I was having a conversation with my guest before I got on here. I'm Chris Ferguson, your host. It has always been a dream of mine to showcase ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and for others. Those who have taken their dreams or ideas and then turned it into their reality as they reach beyond their personal struggles, their personal pains, their personal traumas, where so many give up. These people don't. They don't lose hope. There are the few that can walk through their obstacles and challenges, not knowing where it's going to take them. They don't know where it's going. They trust themselves enough not to give up, to do the follow through in their personal life, their career, and in their relationships. This is what I call a champion in life. Today, I have Lisa DePamphilis. Lisa DePamphilis. I want to pronounce the name right. I'm trying to get better at that. She's an amazing individual. She has been going to psychic fairs with her mom when she was 5. So we're going to talk about that. That's a kind of, I would have loved to have done that, but it never happened. So let's welcome Lisa to the podcast.
Thank you.
Hi. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, here we are.
So what, was your mom into readings and stuff? Is that why she took you to psychic fairs?
Yeah, she was always interested in the next level, whatever that is. And so I just remember going to the psychic fairs with her. And the first time I remember I was 5, and I remember getting an aura reading of my hand. And I thought it was so fascinating. And, so I just kind of really got hooked on what's out there besides what we know. And she used to take me to these, like in our neighborhood, we would go to people's houses and they would sit in circle and do, I don't know, rituals, card readings. I don't know what they were doing. I was young, but it put me on the path. I've been on the path since I was,
And you didn't even know it.
Didn't even know it. Well, yeah, I kind of knew it, actually. I kind of did know it.
Let's talk about your backstory. What were you doing that made you decide to walk this path, this journey? Because it's not an easy path. Most people don't realize that.
Yeah, and it's gone like this. It's not a straight path. I've studied metaphysical stuff since I was about 14. My mom died shortly after that, and she was magical before she passed. She was just amazing. And in my little mind, I thought, oh, well, you get that close to magic and you die. So I went completely the other way. So it's been, back and forth. But I was, grew up as a misfit. And I think a lot of us that are on this path have been misfits. We've just never really fit in. I was kind of the leader of my own little misfit tribe. When I was in elementary school,
Miss Gang Leader.
I'd collect all the girls that got picked on, that were, awkward, and we would be friends. But I think I've always been very intuitive. I've always been an empath. I think the journey again has always been coming back. So something has pulled me out and reminded me that I'm not being myself. I remember I was married and I was getting ready to move and leave my husband. And I found this little notepad that I had written when I was in 11th grade. My English teacher had his journal. And I read it. And I was like, I am so far away from who I want to be, who I've always wanted to be. And so that's kind of how I get jogged back into, oh, that's not me. And that's been my lesson over and over again is I need to stand up for myself and stand in my truth and not let other people sway me to what they think I should be or what they want me to be, that kind of thing. So yeah, always gone back.
Did you learn your no in that process? Being able to say no instead of being a people pleaser?
Well, yeah, a couple bricks over the over the head.
I get it. And I'm asking because I walked that path. I walked that, experienced it. And most people are like, man, that was the hardest thing to do, was learn my no.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many no's, right? There's just, I worked in a career where I worked 12 to 14 hours. I was commuting all over, go, 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 go. And that is just not, I got sick. I got physically sick because that's not where my energy level is. That's not where I need to be. I'm doing all this energy work in the background, and I cannot I can't have that go, go, go. And that's been a big lesson for me. On my healing journey. But also, I think my husband mirrored what needed to be healed a lot, until it was like, okay, this is not a lesson anymore. It just needs to, I just need to move on from this. But I think the lesson for me has been both allowing and receiving. That was a big lesson for me. When I start to get burnt out, it was like, slow down, stop, allow, and receive. And I remember one time, it was like 2018. I had had a pretty good year in my business, but I got burnt out. And I was given the message to just walk the property, and I would come home. The property was scattered with quartz crystals. And so I can come home with all these pockets full of rocks. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it was just the process of like a meditation, kind of walking and being led, being guided, and allowing myself to be guided. So yeah, it's been
allowing is a big thing for when you're learning your no, because it's the not allowing it that people compromise themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And so by allowing yourself to connect with yourself and go within, that is the biggest secret of life. And it is, we have all the answers in our body of what we as individuals want to do, our dreams, our passions, our purposes. But so many people don't realize their passions and purpose. I'm glad that you learned yours. And the road is rough. The road is rough. There's life still happens, and people forget that people that are empathic feel everybody's energy. They feel everybody's energy, and then it can get confusing. Is this my energy? Is this somebody else's energy? Right. Am I picking up someone else? And so the thing is there's lots of questions, and you become like your own little psychic investigator in many cases about trying to figure out what's yours and what's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you have this throughout life, you have this thing that you want, or that you know is yours. And it may not be really clear, but it comes back to you over and over and over. And that's the lesson, and that's the desire that's seated for you to, connect with. So it's really interesting to look at that. But yeah, I had a beautiful property that really was very healing and a much part of my path. A lot of little elemental, areas around waterfalls and beautiful wildflowers. And I would, we had lots of beautiful rocks, and I would make medicine wheels over the property. And there was a lot of indigenous trauma in that. So I did a lot of healing on the land, and it was, I would we had a hot tub. I would sit outside under the stars, and I did that for many, many years, 5 years, 10 years, something like that. And it really helped me connect to everything, all that is, and get messages. And that was the beginning of actually being able to get messages, which is magical to me.
So is this how you came home to your truth? Because you talk about this with your clients, about coming home to your truth. And so my question is was this your journey to coming home to your truth?
This is my journey to coming home to my truth. The journey has also been to work with people, because the more people I work with, and I think, I worked with like 80 something clients one year, and I really got to know, because you attract who you are, right? You attract what you also need to heal. And so by working with these beautiful women that I worked with, I understood that they didn't feel validated. They didn't feel like they had permission to be who they were. And so that is just reflecting back to me. And so I would do a lot of work. Every time I'd work with a client, something else would be brought up to be healed. So it's really beautiful. I don't know if you experience that, but that's how I've experienced coming home to me, is through my clients and through the what they mirror in me and what they bring up to heal. It's like, oh yeah, that is me.
Well, the thing is, but see, most people don't realize that if something is mirrored to you, it may not be yours, but it's their perception, the client's perception of their understanding of you. So in knowing that, after 45 years of doing this stuff and finally catching up with technology is finally catching up with me. It's one of those things that you have to sit and wonder, because in my journey, it's been so rough. It's been severely rough.
Yeah.
And the biggest journey and lesson for me was not defining where I came from, not defining about what happened to me, not defining me to rob me or steal me of a future.
Right.
Where a lot of people define their life from where they come, what their generations or their traditions or cultures are.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So I luckily, that was my saving grace of coming to my truth. Unfortunately, when you deal with cancer at 22, near-death experiences, head-on car collision, pulmonary embolisms in your life in the first 50 years,
yeah,
what do? I mean, you're trying to survive, not even thinking about thriving. That's not even it. You don't dream. You don't have those ideas of, well, I could do this.
Yeah,
but I learned.
Yeah.
But the other lesson I learned is, wouldn't it be nice? And as in the last 20 years, I found out that as I started I manifested a lot of things in my life. Meeting people that were my childhood heroes that helped get me through those days.
Yeah.
And one of them was Muhammad Ali. And I met him and spent 7 days doing his security at a mall. And I had the conversation and we talked and I told him about my past and how I loved his words because he was speaking the words I couldn't say.
Yeah.
When I didn't have a voice.
Yes.
And so everybody's like, well, he's a deserter. No, he stood his ground. Like you said, standing up for yourself. He didn't want to go to war, and he fought the law through the law. They stripped him of everything. They tried to ruin him publicly.
And that's what you have to be able to do when you're standing up for yourself, is let go of attachments. And I've learned that. I have learned that. I let go of everything twice to be in my truth. And it's hard.
It's a difficult road, but the thing is you talk about getting beyond the bumps in the road. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
So this kind of like leads you right into those bumps and those obstacles and those challenges.
Yeah. So the bumps in the road, there are going to be bumps in the road. It's messy. It's a messy journey. And it's to be able to go with the flow and to have those bumps lessen. It's really important to learn to not resist what's coming up. So for instance, if you're having you're say you're in business and the business isn't going well and you're not attracting the clients you want, it's really important to step back instead of push. And a lot of people push. And I did that for a long time until I realized that the guidance of not seeing what you want is actually to let go of it. And it's, it's to let go and allow yourself to be guided into something better. And so the bumps can be lessened if you allow yourself to not resist what's coming up and not resist those things that are out of your control. Because we can manifest, we can we have these desires, we have these things within us that are meant for us. But if we're trying to control every single moment, it doesn't work. It's like the universe wants you to go this way, and you're like, no, but I want this one little thing. And it's like, but here's all this beautiful stuff over here, you know? So yeah.
It's like I always tell people, when you go to manifest, you need to be specific. And even in being specific, you may not get it the way you want it, but you'll get it.
Yeah.
You'll get it in the way the universe sees that you need it. And so the fact is you have to be very specific and very strong in your trust and beliefs of it.
And it's, you know, so I do something called superhuman manifesting, and basically it's not manifesting from thought. So it's manifesting from the frequency and being able to hold the frequency longer. I mean, it's like sometimes you can hold it for like a nanosecond, and then it's longer and longer and longer. And as the longer that you're in that frequency and you're in that space of feeling what you really want, that's when you manifest the feeling of what you want. It's not a specific thing. Like you said, you got to let go of that, how it's going to happen. It's really boils down to, what do you want to feel like? And I remember when I was feeling really stuck and I just wanted to feel free. I wanted to have this juicy life. I had no idea what it was going to look like. I wanted to feel peaceful and, you know, all these things that I wanted. And I would hold that frequency. And within a month, my life completely changed. And so you've manifested over your life. I've manifested things over my life, but this way of manifesting is different. It's manifesting in the void of no thought. And it's amazing.
Well, when we just went to Maui for a part of my journey to Mother Earth, chakras and vortexes. And I told the naturalists, they have a naturalist on the boat to explain all the animal life and things that you're going to see. And it's amazing. It's actually amazing. And before we left shore, I said to her, I said, wouldn't it be nice if a humpback whale swam close to the boat? And she says, oh my God, it would be amazing. And I said, yeah, wouldn't it be nice? And so an hour and a half into our cruise, I saw it, but I didn't say anything. Somebody on the other side of the catamaran said, hey, what's that light blue thing in the water?
Oh, cool.
And she turned and looked, she goes, that is a humpback whale mama with her baby calf.
Oh,
and then her head spun around. I mean, it was like on the swivel. She goes, you manifested that. And I said, yes, I did. Wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah.
And so the thing is it is that feeling. It is that excitement. It is that joy and love, but you have to speak it into existence.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so the thing is wouldn't it be nice? So as an adult, that's the thing that I learned to say when I truly, truly want to manifest things, because I mean, I've met a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of people, professionals in athletes and different positions. And it's like, wouldn't it be nice? And then I got to do Dwayne Wade, Dan Marino, Muhammad Ali, all these individuals in Phil Sims. I mean, just these people that got to work with because of wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice? So I did something similar when I was trying to leave my job. And I would write, what if? And I would just dream like, what if? So same thing, you know, wouldn't it be nice if? And I would just write and write and write. And that happened really quickly too. That happened within a couple months. And so, yeah, it works. It really does work, but it's an energy, right? It's an energy. It's not a,
no, you're right. And I love the fact that you're about frequencies, because I'm all about frequencies. And most people, I define it through quantum physics, because the earth rotates at 432 megahertz. That's what it spins at. Mm-hmm. Your heart beats at 432 megahertz. That's the connection. And if you can get out of your head and connect with the heart and harmonize it, oh my gosh, what could you do in your life? Think about that. And so I love to see that there's other people like me that understand frequencies. And there's so many out there. A cat's purr, most people don't know, is 174 frequency megahertz.
I didn't know the hertz, but yeah, that's
so so that's why cat purrs are so soothing for people, because it resonates with your soul.
Yeah.
And it harmonizes you. So most people don't realize that. You were talking about a medicine wheel. And I'm like, I created a medicine wheel on my property. I tend to it. I put out the colors because my dad's Native American. So I practice Native American spirituality. So I have a medicine wheel. I have a path that I go down that leads down to a spring. And I have deer and turkey and crows and hawks and turtles, just everything in my yard. So I'm living my true authentic self. And I love that. And I work with my clients to do the same thing. Yeah. So when you said about the frequencies, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to be on here for 6 hours. I just know that, you know? So
it's so cool when you are able to get to the level where you can be multidimensional, right? When you are at the frequency, when you've held that frequency for long enough, where you get to be, I mean, it's so magical. Things come to you, visions. Yeah, it's amazing. I've been seeing sacred geometry when I close my eyes for about 15 years, and I had no idea what it meant. And I would ask around, do the investigation, and then just little pieces and parts would come in, and that's what's helped me create this process. But also just, when I was under the stars, I would channel the star mothers. And when I moved, I was kind of lost because they didn't come through anymore. And then something different came through, and they're called the Diamond Light Council. And so I had to go look and see, what is that about? And then you get confirmation pieces. It's just a really fun, magical journey, when all this stuff happens. And the visions that you get are correct. They actually, you see them happening. And like when I work with my clients, my intuition is off the charts now. It's like, this is so fun. It's so fun. It's just so fun.
It is, except for if you've been in law enforcement for as long as I have, and your visions are now about people doing bad things to other people of influence.
Yeah.
Let me just say, law enforcement on the federal level knows my name.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there was a lady that was on Facebook that was soliciting someone take one for the team and kill at that time, newly elected and confirmed Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh.
Wow.
And I'm like, how do you do that? Publicly, how could you do this? So I took the action, and that's what I do. I can do anything. And so I don't have any fear. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't get me into trouble, but it puts me into unique situations.
Sure.
And so I contacted them, and I said, you know what? This is who I am. This is what I've done. You can verify it. But this is why I'm calling you. And they said, did you find her? And I said, I did. They said, would you send it to us? I said, I can. And I emailed them her Facebook page. And they went and saw her that afternoon at her job, and she was a preschool teacher.
Wow.
And so, the fact is, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
But in that book, there's still evilness that can come out. And that was the message. So unfortunately, well, for me, I don't mind stepping out and stepping beyond to help people out. But two, there's been like 6 other incidences that I've had to contact law enforcement about things that have happened. And law enforcement changed the way that they were doing those things to protect these individuals. And so the fact is so when you say what your intuition, and when it comes true, when you get those visions, it does come true. Most people think that, well, you're a psychic. No, the thing is the visions came to me. I don't know where they came from. I just know I'm divinely guided and divinely protected.
Yeah.
And so, but I want to talk to you now about branding, marketing, and visibility, because that's what you do. That's part of what you do in your business. So
I want to talk
about that.
Yeah. So I was a dietitian nutritionist for about 30 years. And so I come from a scientific background, and stepping into the sales and marketing was a different animal, right? So I was kind of this little mousy girl. And, you know, I was a leader. I did well in my career, but behind the scenes, I was still this, like, I felt like this little mousy girl. And, but I saw these guys online, and they were wearing, you know, just whatever they wanted on stage, having fun, just sharing their genius from their own inspiration. And I'm like, I want to do that. I've always wanted to do that. And so I started studying sales and marketing while I was working, and, you know, had a nutrition practice at first. And then it's like, well, it's not fun. I want to do something fun. And so it's been this thing, this journey of what's really fun and what really can I do well. And in about 2016, 2014 and 15, I had a radio show, and it was called Women Reconnecting. And I met a lot of wonderful spiritual women. And that kind of helped me grow my community. And then everybody was asking me to teach them visibility and marketing. And I'm like, well, I've learned a lot. Of course I can teach that. And I just started teaching it. It wasn't something that I anticipated doing, but that's kind of what came to me, and I was able to do it. And so I did that from like 2015, 16 to about 2019. And then from 2020 and 21, I worked with a business partner, and we did frequency activations and manifesting in the higher realms. And so I've just brought everything that I have in my toolkit together. And I think it was about 2017 or 18, I was given this process, this intuitive process, and it really helps to get to the heart of what the person's genius zone is, what they're here for, and who they're here to work with. And I think the reason I'm able to do that is because that was where I was stuck for a long time. It's like, what am I supposed to do with all these gifts that I have? And who am I supposed to work with? And so my ability to really intuitively understand that, and I step back, like I have a process, and I kind of step back and I just let it happen. And then we meet together, and then they're always, wow, because it helps validate what they really want to be, and they can't see it. And so I help with messaging and with copy and the programs of what do they really want to do? Because a lot of people that I work with are coming from scientific, engineering, you know, academic, something like that. And they're stuck in that kind of like, I have this skill set and I have to do that. But that's not really what they want to do. They're like this big, huge, shining light. And so it's kind of unearthing that light is what I help them do.
And I think that's amazing. And most people don't realize that women have been oppressed for so long that it's in our DNA. And I love that you talk about light codes, because I speak light language, and most people don't know that. And I work with the Council of 12 on the galactic. And so the fact is that in doing that, it allows me to help clear people's blocks and their energies and those overthinking. And after a healing, most people can't make a thought, because I take that tornado above their head away. So I love the fact that you said that. But when you talk about light frequencies and how they are free to show up fully expressed, I see light language, and it's always a dark background, and it comes down in gold. And so reading those light languages has been an amazing gift I have been gifted with.
Oh, that's amazing. So you actually see it and read it.
Yes.
So it just comes through me. I don't know what language, there's several languages, But it just comes through me. I don't ever see it, but I do write codes. I do write light codes, and I do see the sacred geometry. So I kind of put that together. But how fascinating for you. That's awesome.
So the fact is so when you connect deeply with everybody in your energy and intuition, how do you go about it? Because I'll tell you how I do it after afterwards, but I like to find out the way that people are, that there's different modalities of energy workers and energy healers and people that have the ability to, the different modalities I'm fascinated by.
So I've learned a lot of different modalities and have certifications in a lot of different things, but this is something that just came to me. It's nothing that I learned. It's not a learned thing. It's just a thing that happens. So I don't really even know how to explain it. It's just that I know. That's really all I know.
That's a connection to an openness into another dimension. And see, I loved it because that was the same way it happened to me. Because I mean, my friends were saying, Chris, we can see you speaking light language. And these were my woo-woo friends, not my law enforcement friends. And my law enforcement friends didn't know my woo-woo side. So,
sure.
It's all about the facts, man. It's all about the facts. Yeah, sorry, it is all about. So in that dichotomy, I was having a hard time speaking it because I was doing the analytical side of it and not allowing it. And so once a friend of mine, she's an amazing lady. She's been speaking light language for probably 50 years. Wow. And she had a show on Facebook and I listened to it, and I'm having dinner. We were coming back from Florida and we're in Chattanooga, and I'm sitting down at this, it's called the Rain Bistro. It's a Thai restaurant and one of my favorite places to go there. And so we're sitting down there eating and I'm listening on my earbuds. And she made this statement. She said, it's not for you to interpret what you're being told. It's for you to speak it and allow them to interpret what comes to them. And when that hits,
right? It's a frequency that you're transmitting. It's not really even it's like you said, people don't have thoughts after you work with them. And that's because the light language is a frequency that kind of just does what it needs to do.
And most people don't get it. So I figured you would understand this more than most because of you understanding light codes. And so that when I'm walking, I was in the grocery store the other day, and all of a sudden I had light language come to me, and I just started speaking it. And I just walked through like the store, I mean, they could think I'm crazy. I don't care. But when the message comes out, it's like, Chris, you got to speak this to the world. You got to speak this to the planet. You got to speak this to the frequency of Mother Earth. And I do. I just don't care. So the fact is you can look at me cross-eyed or think I'm from a foreign country. I don't care. But the message is when they say it has to be done, it has to be done. There's no question. And see, that's where a lot of people in spiritual work get hung up on.
Is being
the hesitation and being out in public and being not invisible in what they do.
Well, and that's part of the journey, right? That is part of standing in your truth. Because if you, like, I was held back for a long time because I didn't want my family would think I'm weird, or my friends think I'm weird, or, people would think I'm weird. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. See,
I haven't cared about people and what they think since I was 8. So I had like a little head start. It wasn't a barrier for me, but unfortunately I didn't speak though.
Yeah.
And so at that point in time, it was like, okay, you're gone the right path, but we just trying to get you to stay alive. We're just trying to get you beyond these experiences that you're going to go through in life so that you can become that person the world needs.
And I think people don't realize also that just our voice is a frequency activator. It activates other people just through the way that we speak and the frequency that we're emitting when we speak. And so even going through those really hard times, you were doing your work. You're still, we're all doing our work, whether we realize it or not. And we have these, should I do this, or should I do this, or I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't. It's like, it's all okay. I did a YouTube video the other day. It was like, you can't get this wrong. You just can't get this wrong. It's always going to lead you back to source. Always.
Mm-hmm. Most people thought I was crazy when I came up here to Tennessee. I was a reserve deputy because of all my law enforcement and knowledge. And it was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the police academy. They laughed. They laughed. I was 60 years old at the time. They laughed. I went to the academy. I did the 12 weeks. I didn't get cut any breaks. I was the oldest one in the class, but I outran 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and 40-year-olds. There were some amazing runners and physical people in the class, but I wasn't looking to be one of those. I was looking to show up for myself, complete it, get certified in Tennessee, and then go from there. And that's exactly what I did.
And that's just it. You know, it's like you do things for yourself to better yourself. And you do things for yourself because you want to prove to yourself that you can do them, right?
But there was no proof. It was just stepping. Again, I don't have any fear, so I just stepped through the door. I made a decision. I took the action, and I did it. Yeah. And the thing was, it wasn't a proof to myself. It was being an example.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when you understand that age is just a number. And when you limit yourself to an age, when you limit yourself to a belief, when you limit yourself to an understanding,
yeah, you're limited.
That disables you in many ways.
It does. That's a great way of putting it. It's a disability when you do that. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I love that.
Because with you, it's just like, when you're getting past the blocks and the barriers and you're connecting deeply through your energy and intuition, if you had limited beliefs or limited thoughts, where would you be?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think where we are right now, there's a lot of people with gifts coming in and they're not trusting them. It's like, not trusting the intuition, not trusting that you're able to really, that the visions that you see are true, not trusting that what's coming through is actually coming through for you or to share. For a long time, I didn't share my messages. I have journals and journals of messages, but I'm like, no, that's too far out there. And since I've started sharing the messages that come through, I've built my community. People are responding to me. People are getting, they're resonating deeply with it. And that just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel like, why did I hold back?
You're validated.
I'm validated. Yeah. I'm validated. And it's like, okay, next, what's the next thing that's going to come through? And I think that we are in a time and place right now that we have unlimited possibility. I really, truly believe, like you said, age is not a number. Well, I want to age backwards. That's what I want.
I'm trying that too. But the thing is you were a gymnast at one point in time?
I was. I was a gymnast. Yeah. And I even taught gymnastics. And so I'm active. I like to move. I love to dance. And and I still am very flexible. I think I just love to dance. I love movement, any kind of movement, really. Like,
oh, I get it. I do the same thing. I'm all about, I garden. I'm moving out over there. I've got my workout equipment and I have to walk. My driveway is like 258 feet long. So I'll walk just to go down and check the mail at 7 in the morning because I just want to go and move. And so the thing is I get that. The thing was I was a swimmer as a child.
Oh, okay.
And so when you said you're a gymnast, those two are very competitive sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you taught gymnasts, you had to be on that competitive level. I was also a coach. I was a swim coach when I had my daughter, and she was like 4 months old, and I had her, and she was with me the whole time in the pools and in the little carrier, and she's just a water baby, and so I get it. Yeah. But I love the fact that some people allow themselves to what they did in the past to be that foundation for their future and in their future.
Yeah. So I remember going to a conference, and it was one of those woo rah rah conferences, you know, where you learn stuff. And they took us back to a moment where you felt like on top of the world. And the moment for me that comes back is competing on the floor exercises and doing all the flips and just landing it, you know, and just like that feeling was like, I don't know. That's what I go back to, because it's just such an amazing feeling. And so that is me being in my truth. That is me being in my truth. And that feeling is what I kind of look for in pulling me forward. Is it, am I getting that joy, that excitement, that love, that enthusiasm? That's what pulls me forward.
I kind of felt that. So that's why I brought it up, because I went to the Junior Olympics in 1974.
Wow.
And took my age group. I was 13 years of age. But as you compete and as you start to go up, it gets beyond the age. And you then, if you keep winning your heat, you keep moving up, you keep moving up. And I was in the final heat, and I was swimming against 18, 19-year-old girls.
Wow.
And that year, I came in second place by 2/100ths of a second in 100 butterfly.
That's amazing.
And the girl that took it that year was named Sharon Gould. And I remember, but I was in an orphanage at that time. There was no future. So these were my own personal accomplishments, that this was something nobody could take away from me. These were the things that nobody could say, you know, because my brother, his girlfriend gave me a hippo. The girls stole it from me, gave it to their sister or something like that. So you weren't able to hang on to anything tangible. So your tangible had to become mental.
Yeah, that's what made you so strong.
And it did. So the fact is so when I go back, even though I couldn't go past that point because I didn't have I was a ward of the state because my mother gave up custody.
Yeah.
So there was nobody that would allow me to go to the next step, to go to the Olympics, to, you know, get sponsors and stuff like that. That energy wasn't in that time.
Right.
And so the fact is it was still a time that they can't take away from me. Nobody can. And so it is that level of enthusiasm and pride of accomplishing something when you have nothing.
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine, because I didn't live through that, but yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody. Yeah.
And so again, like me, you became a coach of gymnastics. I became a coach of swimming. At the high school, I branched out and took up golf. I mean, I'm taking up sports that are expensive sports. And I'm like, as a kid, I could have never done that.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Well, I moved. So when I was competing at the varsity level when I was a sophomore, and then we moved, and they didn't have a gymnastics, school was super small. So then I just taught the youth in the next town over. So that's what I did while I was in high school, is I taught gymnastics. And then in college, I had horses. So I taught, gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's when you're doing gymnastics on a horse. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, that was super fun too. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why I mentioned that.
Well, it's interesting because most people don't know I had horses also. When I
really?
turned 18, I'd gotten divorced, got married, got divorced, moved to Wyoming, and I had my horse, my dog, and my daughter, and my life, and I felt complete. And that's all I wanted. I was like, there was only 300,000 people in the state of Wyoming at that time.
Wow.
And so it's just the simplicity of life that I really needed in my life.
Yeah. Sure. And horses are just such amazing energy, and they love light language. I used to sing to my horses all the time in light language.
As a, you know, when you get into I'm a Reiki master, most people don't realize that. And I'm an advanced Ho'oponopono practitioner, but in that frequency, those are all frequencies. And as you advance in those frequencies, it was just like, I can walk in a room. It's more of a question for you. I walk in the room and I can tell the frequency of the room as I walk in. And there's been rooms that I've walked in and it was like, what the world did I just walk into? Because it's so dense and it's so heavy.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Have you experienced that too?
Oh yeah. Yes. I definitely am able to, I know the energies of different people. Yeah. In a room for sure. Yeah, that's how I operate. I'm like, go into, I kind of pierce their aura, if you will, and understand people. And sometimes I think the trick is, though, when you're empathic, that's kind of coming from your perspective. And then there's also the other side where I can read minds often. And it's like, am I reading their mind or is that coming from me? And so that's sometimes confusing for me. But I know what people think. And then I tell them and they're like, it's invasive. So
okay. My next question is, have you ever had any telepathy moments to where you could project your voice somewhere?
I don't know about my voice. I think my thoughts. I don't know about my voice, but my thoughts, yes, for sure.
The reason why I ask is because I've had clients call me and they're blow drying their hair and all they hear is what I say to them. Always ask every morning, what does my best day look like? Show me. And they heard my voice saying that to them over their blow dryers or blow drying their hair.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever experienced that. That's awesome. That's fun.
So that's why I'm saying, have you ever had any experiences with telepathy? And don't be surprised if you don't start, because that as a higher dimension is one of the gifts that people are getting into. And it is more of speaking on a frequency and a telepathy level than it is to speak the voice. Because when you do a telepathy, you speak your heart.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. There's so many that I was practicing remote viewing, which is awesome too. And yeah, there's just so many things that we can do. I have one just on a level that's not really, it's not that high frequency, but this is really fun. I went to a psychokinesis class and did.
Oh yeah. Bending metal. It is, but see, that just should show you that you're capable of doing that. You're capable of doing the telepathy. You just haven't honed it.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's funny because after I did that, it was around the holidays. And so I brought a couple spoons out to my kids that came over for Christmas. And I'm like, try it. And my son was able to do it. No problem. He's that way. My daughter is very analytical and she's like, I can't do this stuff, But it was fun.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. So with what 3 tips could you give my audience that they could use in their everyday life?
Take a time out of the day, maybe 5 minutes, pick a time that's consistent and connect. Because when you have a consistent time that you're connecting, your guides will get to know that time, and you'll get more and more visions, downloads, whatever that is. You'll be able to connect deeper if you do that. So that's one tip. Be willing to let go of attachments and take a leap. I've done that. I've let go of my property, my beautiful custom home, my everything. And I had no clue, but I trusted. I was being guided, and I was caught by angels. I was caught by angels that came out of everywhere to support me. So you will always be sourced and supplied. Always. I don't know if that's tip number 2 or 3.
It's 2.
2. Okay. Let's see what else. Step into. Become aware of the thing that's right in front of you that you're resisting, because it's right in front of your nose and you're going, I don't want to hear that now. I don't want to hear that now. Because that's the thing. That's the thing that will move you forward, is that thing that's right in front of your nose that you're not wanting to address.
I love that. I love all 3 of those. They're very, very important. Sit back, take a deep breath. We're going to connect to your 5-year-old inner child.
Okay.
And what would she say of you today, from where you were, from then to now, and the things that you have done in your life?
She would say, "You're amazing. Go, girl." Go. Yes, yes, yes.
But she's so happy about all the things you accomplished. Yeah. And learning your no and your boundaries. She said as a child, that was your biggest
thing
was to learn no's and boundaries, because again, like the black sheep of all families, or the, that little weird kid in the neighborhood, you want to fit in just like everybody else. And so you learn to adapt and rewind, renew, reevaluate the situation.
Always.
And so she was so proud of you that you would stand up for other people.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have in common, because I always stood up for the underdog, even when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I think I found my first boyfriend and I didn't even want him because I was a tomboy, but they were bullying him because he had asthma.
Yeah.
And so they were harassing him, and I beat one of the boys up on the playground for harassing him. Yeah, I'm a street kid. What can I tell you? I absolutely did. And the thing, I'm probably the reason why the school districts made that rule that no matter who gets in a fight, no matter who started it, both parties go home. I never started anything, but I always finished everything. And that was my claim to fame. But you don't pick on weaker people. You don't pick on those that are disabled. You don't pick on anybody. And I defended them. I was that at 8. That's who I was in the Corps. So it's no wonder that I used to bench press 200 pounds. No, not really. Not really. So it was one of those things. So think about it. But Lisa, I am so honored. I'm so excited that you could be here today.
Yeah.
And so again, I love this conversation, and I could sit and talk to you for hours.
I know.
And have a great time, and possibly even share some techniques and have even a better time in doing so.
Yeah.
So
we'll do that.
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you.
And hang on one second. Okay, I gotta get my paper. It takes a special kind of individual to dream their thoughts, their ideas, and turn it into their reality. Lisa DePamphilis, you have done just that. You stepped past your fears, you stayed the course, and had the courage to do the follow-through through the end. Lisa DePamphilis, you've championed yourself. Now we know who you've become. Thank you for sharing your ideas, your thoughts, and your dreams with us here today. I am honored to have you on my podcast.